It was very special to me. We met at the Victory Championships that I hosted. She won the whole show. She looked like, I can't even say enough about her. She was like a Barbie doll on stage. She looked perfection. But what I didn't know was her story. And I kept contacting her, and all of a sudden, one day, finally, she decides to fly from Texas to Miami Beach to do a whole weekend with me of coaching. And I had no idea what this woman had gone through. I don't even start because I won't finish her story because I know it so well now that I can share it for her. But I want to continue to empower her to continue to share her story more and more. So she came to the conference last year and shared her story. And now I want her to come back. So she flew from Texas last night. And Andrea Calhoun, I want to thank you for always trusting me and always believing, even though I was a pain in the butt. And I can drive you crazy. And I know you joked around that. It's okay, it's going viral, your jokes about me. But I always do it with what? With love and purpose, right? So I want to bring the Miss Unbreakable herself. This is Andrea Calhoun, coming up. So today I asked her to come in and I want her to share that same message that she gave a year ago, but now it's going to be different. Why? Because it's been a year. So I know that she's not only perfected it, but she's gotten better at owning that story. Until you own your story, the story owns you. It's the same thing as to break the stage. So if the story owns you, what happens? You get stuck. But when you own your story, then you can be free. You see what I just did right here? I couldn't do that to her. And when I went to pick her up at the airport, I tried to give her a hug and I almost got whooped. Because I didn't know that she suffered from PTSD. I didn't know that she had gone through what she went through. Not to that level. So for me, the fact that she's able to trust me, to know that she's safe around me, and we could just look at a video, and I did that on purpose, because when I did try to do that, the way she reacted, this is in the middle of the belt, picking up the luggage, and I would have got whooped, I promise you. I might be 6 feet tall, but I would whoop one, I'll never fight a woman, but probably she'll beat me up anyway. But what was interesting was that couldn't happen 5 years ago, or 6 years ago, whenever we met. And she's gotten to that point that this is the work that she's put in. So, first of all, thank you for trusting me, allowing me the privilege to guide you through this process. And thank you for being here today. And this is your moment.
Hey everyone, I'm so excited to be here. As you can see my story, I do not look like that no more. That is what I consider a time in my life as my past, but it was also a blessing to share the stage with all the IFBB pros, go to the Olympia 4 times. Unfortunately, my 4th time I did get qualified, I didn't make it to stage. So I will tell that story later in my speech. I do feel like your past can turn into something amazing. In my childhood, I didn't have the best childhood at all. My mother was in a very abusive relationship. Then to come to find out, my mom's mom was in an abusive relationship, then my mom's mom. So it was pretty much a generational curse. I went off to college. As what I did, I thought I knew my worth. I really did. I really thought that I'm amazing. I can get through this. I can graduate college. I was the first one to graduate college in my family. Not my entire family, but in my immediate family. My real dad abandoned us at 3. I think we were 3 years old. He said he was going to the store and he never came back. So in my adulthood, I was even dealing with the feeling of being abandoned. So I was going to college, everything was great. I was working 3 jobs, I was making my mom proud and myself proud of what I thought. And then all of a sudden, I'll never forget this day. It was probably like 10 p.m. at night, I get a knock on my door. And me being who I am, I was like, I was probably just one of my friends. I was in a college dorm. And it was this big black dude who decided he had a gun and he decided to rape me. And I was literally scared, excuse my language, shitless of my life that night. And I was screaming. My dorm was like kind of like in the corner. I had the 1 bedroom because I literally just moved from my 4 bedroom where I had roommates into the corner. And it was the end of that. So the next day I woke up, I was scared. He was like, if you say anything, I will come back and kill you. And so I went to my closet because that was my safe place. and I stayed there. I stopped going to school. I called into work. I was like, hey, I need some sick leave. Can y'all make something happen? So then I turned into a alcoholic. And then I turned into someone who just ate my life away. And that's how I dealt with my emotions. As I was, it's a college dorm, everything, so there's always parties. So I would just go in, I would like sneak into parties, full hooded, and just drink. Just so I didn't have to deal with the pain that I was enduring. I didn't love myself, I was gaining weight, I was constantly in the hospital. I think I put on about 60 plus pounds at 4'11". I started off at 120. Before you knew it, I was 165 in a matter of 6 months because I was just drinking and just eating. And I loved me some Big Macs at the time. I would go through some Big Macs, probably 6 of them in a matter of 4 days. Wow. And I was a college student. I was broke, so that was, what was cheap. And during that time, I didn't really know how to talk to anybody because I was embarrassed. I was like, well, statistics say, well, if you dress that way, then don't expect nothing good to come for you. But I really wasn't dressing that, especially being an African American. I feel like we are judged in different ways when it comes to stuff like that. So my doctor told me if you don't do something, you're gonna literally probably die at a very young age. And one day I sat in my closet and I was like, God, please help me get out of this. I went and got me a trainer, and I told him what had happened to me, and he literally changed my life. He made me feel whole again as far as like appearance. I started dressing like I could actually wear some clothes because I was always in hoodies and sweats. And that's what inspired me to become a trainer, because I love the way he made me feel. And he always told me, Drea, you don't have to be a product of your past. So when I started doing that, I lost all my weight. I was like, man, I want to be a trainer, because he just made me feel so good. So then I started training people. And from the luck of the draw, it felt like I was always getting survivors from domestic violence and rape. And during that time, I wasn't in a domestic violence relationship yet. And I was changing lives, and then I started competing, lost all that weight, and I started competing. So I never went to therapy for my rape. I never went to do anything but to work out. So that was my safe place. I went to work out and I trained my clients. So that's how I masked the feelings that I was feeling. Then I fell into a domestic violence relationship, and I thought he loved me. He was someone who would literally pick me up in midair and just body slam me. Sometimes I would black out. Then he would throw water on my face and tell me to get up. But I thought that was love, because I seen it in my childhood. Seen it all the time with my mother. So for me not healing, I don't know if y'all have ever heard this, but a broken crayon can still color. I was that broken crayon that was still coloring, because I would get up every single day and go train my clients, and I didn't care what I was going through, but I always gave back to them in something positive. I always found something positive. I had a client who came to me, she was just in tears, and she was like, Dre, I hate my body, I don't know what to do, my husband hates me. And so I asked her, I said, well, what do you like about yourself? She couldn't even tell me. So that day, instead of training, what we did, I sat down and we picked apart her life and what she did. She finally found what she did like about herself. So that's how we trained. We came in, hey, tell me something positive. So I fuel that in my life with my clients. But I think it's really important that you heal from every situation, because if you don't, you will carry it. So then I was competing, I was having fun, and I was still getting abused, like really, really bad. I'll never forget that one time I was a week before my Olympia. It was my first Olympia. The new guy I was dating 2 years after my first domestic violence, he pulled a knife on me and a gun. I woke up the next day and I just kept it moving. But in my mind, what I thought was, I have the Olympia next week. I can't let this pull me back. So after the Olympia, I placed ninth in my first Olympia, and I'm 4'11", and I was 105 pounds. So my competitors, y'all will understand, like, wow, that's like not common. But I used that fuel that I was going through for the stage. And then after I competed, I really felt like I needed to deal with some of the things that I was going through. So like I tell everyone, you have a choice You have a chance and you have a choice, chance, change. I made the choice to stay in that relationship. I stayed a year after that, like a crazy person. And when I look back, I make sure my choices are what my kids are gonna see. So if you're in an abusive relationship or if you're in a bad environment, I don't care if it's your parents, your boyfriend, your cousin, people are gonna see that, and that's how people grow, off of what you see from what statistics say. So you always wanna make sure you're in a good environment. So I did that, and then I met David at one of my shows, and I'll never forget, he was running around, and I was like, who's this person that keeps throwing his little finger up? He always has his finger up. And then I didn't know his story, and he didn't know mine. So then he identified things that I was going through that I had no idea. Broken crayon can still color. So I was going through healing, I was still putting back into my clients. Now I set myself free. I am free from the abuse, I'm free from domestic violence, my rape, and everything. And now I just continue just to give back and tell people, look, make a choice. My clients, my offenders, make a choice. You don't have to sit back and, oh, I just did 10 years incarceration and think that that's your future. One of my clients, he has a business now. I actually take the time to sit with them and identify, look, I'm not just a regular parole officer, you know, I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna let you find things that are positive. So if you go through anything in life, find the positive and turn that pain into your purpose. Us women, I love women. I love women because we are so powerful. We are the ones there's like the highest rate of single moms. Single moms is at its all-time high. We're the ones who get up with the kids half the time. We're the ones who go to work sick. We're the ones who make the sacrifices. And sometimes I think we forget, 2 years ago you may have went through something tragic, and then now you're going through something, you're like, man, I just can't do this. But 2 years ago you just went through something and you overcame. So you're an overcomer, and you have to find the greatness inside of you. And remember, every single one of y'all in here and online, y'all are unbreakable, and just keep going.
You guys there?
No, you're where are you going? You don't think I'm letting you out that easy? Come
Yes,
on.
I did.
No, heck no. So what's interesting, if you watch her speech last year is on my Instagram account, is on my YouTube account. Watch that speech and watch this speech. You're going to see an amazing difference of what this woman has done as a speaker. Why? Because now she's told her story over and over and over for the past year. That's why I wanted her to perfect the speech. Because as a speaker coach, that's my first thing is get one speech and get the next one, Eventually you do this, you do conferences, right? Andrea, you owned it, by the way. You killed it.
Thank you.
I'm so proud of you. You have no idea. Sorry, I'm like a little kid when I see people doing well. But her trainer, unfortunately, no longer with us, right? Her trainer is the reason that she even came to see me. Her trainer paid for her to come to see me. So that means that she was sharing with David as well, right? With David as well, my story and what I was talking to her about. Now when she said that when I met her, I was hitting on some things, that's because I'm an empath, so that's my gift. And there was something about her that I felt I needed to share with her. And the only way that God can confirm is when that person doesn't know you. And it's like, how do you know that about me? What's going on? And that's what I ended up doing. So she came down for that weekend. We had session after session after session for the whole weekend. And it was the last session that the breakthrough came through. And it was about her starting this academy, right? Which you have, and starting these courses.
It's called Becoming Unbreakable.
Becoming Unbreakable.
So it's fitness, it talks about hormones, it talks about gifts, purpose. It's a combination of everything that I've done over the past 12 years.
Yes, she's a survivor of domestic violence and sexual abuse. But she also went through a whole transformation on her body. She almost died on me a few years ago because of the hormones, because of what it took for her to compete, and because of all the food that she was eating in and out. So eventually everything caught up to her.
Which is why I'm retired.
And she ended up literally telling me, David, I need surgery, I did this, I need that. And I'm like, after all that, God, she can't go away.
I'm still standing. Still standing.
Absolutely.
So now, and I told her, the domestic abuse, all that other stuff, yes, it's still part of your story, but it's part of the story. There's now multiple stories that she could talk about: hormones, about diet, about nutrition, about mental health. She can now do that. And that's why I'm so proud of her, because she has never given up. And not everybody does the work, ladies. I'm gonna tell you that right now. I've started coaching people, and they'll stay for about 3 months or 6 months, and then they go back to their old ways, and then they come back 2 years later. And I think she knows some of those clients that I have. I'm never gonna turn my back on them, but I also know that I can't change anyone. You gotta want change. So, what do you think about Andrea's story?